Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we have Jonathan Denwood. He is a leading influencer and expert on e-learning. If you're an entrepreneur out there and you're thinking about putting together an online course, which actually myself and my team have done in the past, you have that next piece that doesn't have anything to do with the content, but how do you deliver that content to your audience? And I got to tell you, Jonathan, man, we failed miserably at it. We have a whole bunch of content sitting in a can somewhere, and he's laughing at me. You've heard this story before. I can't tell you. I mean, we went the WordPress way. We went, getting a SaaS product together. And to say it was a disaster is probably saying. I think my team. Matter of fact, one member is not with us anymore. I hope it wasn't as a result of us putting the online program together. So we have a beautiful offline program that has been seen by none, that is absolutely brilliant, but we couldn't figure out how to deliver it. So I'm looking forward to this interview, not only to share with the audience and all the entrepreneurs out there of actually how to do it correctly, but I'm looking for some help here too, man.
Well, we could have a consultation afterwards, can't we? When you got a spare moment, just contact me and we'll sort your problems out for. That's what we do. That's what we're here for, to sort out our clients' problems.
All right, good, excellent, because we have major problems. And it was interesting because really where ours kind of broke down, and I don't know if anybody else out there is like me, and I know you are, so I'm saying that facetiously, is I just wanted, none of the online platforms gave me the ability to tweak some of the things I wanted to tweak. And I'll tell you exactly what I was trying to do. We set up and literally recorded probably 40 out of the 52 segments. And it was designed to help entrepreneurs and small businesses train their team. Not in the specifics of what they do in their business, but we wanted to train their team in one, kind of entrepreneurship, so they could understand that wacky boss owner that they had and understand their mindset and psychology a little bit better. But then train them on things that, quite frankly, the workforce coming into the workforce nowadays just doesn't have a good background in. And that is time management, project management, email management, how to set up your days, how to set up your weeks, goal setting, etc. So there were little weekly segments. We wanted them to watch the 10-minute video, 15-minute video, answer some questions to show that they actually viewed the video, set some activities that they were going to do the following week, and then come back the next week, have access to that information that was sitting there. And also gave the managers or the owner of the organization the opportunity, a dashboard, so to speak, to say, oh, all right, the following 8 people have gone through this week's lessons. They've answered these questions. Where do they stand? Who didn't take it, etc. Figuring that out did not happen.
So, well, I would imagine it was the last bit that was the difficult bit, based on
the dashboard.
Yes. Was that the difficult bit?
No, we got, I'll tell you where we got stuck. And we got stuck at the information that was plugged into and I forget which plugin we used. We finally ended up on WordPress with a plugin. It wasn't able to capture, it was able to capture the answers. It was able to capture the information, but then it sent it somewhere to be collected or stored, and then that person no longer had access to get back to it. Now, I could see it in the back end, but obviously we weren't going to give all our clients, the back end of our website. So that was our frustration, and I'm sure there's about, 5,000 entrepreneurs out there shaking their head and say, yes, Thor, this is exactly where I was stuck. I would have given up on the dashboard piece. I would have I would have figured a workaround. We didn't even get to that point.
I'm sure we can help you.
All right. Well, good. Because I certainly couldn't help myself.
Well, that's a typical scenario, and that's one of the reasons why you don't want to go with a SaaS offering, because there will be at some stage where you want some unique customization to your product, to your course, and that's where it's a bit like renting an apartment or buying a house. At certain times in your life, renting an apartment is a great idea, but most of us at some stage want to own a house. And we want to own a house because we want to feel that we actually own the property, it's ours. And that's the same with what you've just said. With WordPress, it is yours. You can get support companies like ours, you can get developers, you can get help when you need it, but essentially it's yours. Unlike renting something online, which will never be yours.
Interesting. Take us. So let's back up because I just kind of went on a ramble about what my.
You certainly did, Thor. It was obviously a painful experience.
Yeah, but I had in my calendar that I was going to do an interview today, not a therapy session of what I went through. So let's help the audience. Give me an idea of what typical client comes to you. Where are they in the process, and then how do you take them from, hey, I want to do an online course or have an online course, to it actually being completed and something that they can sell and manage?
Well, they're very diverse because they can be at very different stages. You have some clients that haven't developed any content, and we actually either help them with editing or with the written content and with the fundamentals of what materials they will be providing during the course and how the actual course will work. I have got one website that's going live at the end of this week, and he had developed, the person we're working for, had developed all the content. So it was about, they needed some unique customization on how the mechanics of the free courses they were providing was running in a way similar to you, what you're looking for. So we had to do some custom coding. Plus, he wanted us to put all the content into the learning management system that we were using with WordPress. So we had to do all that. Plus, there was a fair bit of consultation about marketing and how to run the course. So they're all at different stages for, they can have all the content ready to go in. Some of them want to put all the content in themselves. Some of them want us to do that. So it can vary.
Okay. So then give me an idea of the time frame. Somebody comes, let's say I came to you. I've got 52 weeks of content. I've got it, 15-minute videos, maybe a little written material before or after that. I want it to come out on a weekly basis. Now I'm going to have people starting the program at all different times. I obviously want them to have a unique login. It would be great to tie that login to some sort of online payment system so they can actually pay, they can actually get their login credentials, they can go in and they can start from video one and bring themselves all the way through individually. How much time is involved in you having to do that?
Well, if you got all the content and we're just looking at the mechanics and the custom, we're looking between 2 to 3 months.
Okay, got it.
Because it normally takes a couple of weeks just back and forth to agree a price and the main conditions of the contract. And normally 2 to 3 weeks get burnt up with that. Yeah. And then you're looking at 2 to 3 months after that. So
okay. All right, that's fair. And what can someone expect? Obviously, there's a lot of customization in here. There's a lot of time on your part. But what's someone looking at? If you kind of identify, this is our core clientele. obviously a lot of work from your side. What would someone be looking at to take this from, I've got the content, but I don't have anything else? What would that take as far as cost to get a program up and running?
Well, we start at 2.5, and that's basically using a theme and customizing the home page to the client's requirements. But the rest of it will just changing the colors and using a modern page builder, and setting it up on our own hosting platform. We normally include 1 year of hosting on our own hosting platform.
Okay.
Because poor hosting has been the bugbearer. Your cheap hosting won't work. Your cheap hosting account for $3 to $9 a month won't work with a system like this.
Got it.
You need better hosting. So that starts at around 2.5, and then if they want more pages to be customized, and like the gentleman I just mentioned, that project was about 7,000. So
okay.
it's between 2.5 and 10,000 normally.
Okay. All right, that sounds certainly reasonable for 2 months, 3 months worth of work.
Yeah,
okay.
It is. But where a lot of people go stuck for it, like I've just mentioned, is thinking that an e-learning course, you can put it on cheap hosting. That just sucks the user experience of your student. It's going to be an extremely frustrating experience. If you're spending less than what you spend weekly in Starbucks on your hosting, I think you've got a bit of a problem.
Well, now this is interesting because, what we have running right now is our website. I don't know where we host it. I don't even know how much we pay right now. We actually have access to all of our we have over 600 podcasts on there through a plugin. I don't know what sort of bandwidth or power that it's taking. But where's a reasonable place to start with your hosting? Should it be, if it was Starbucks, should it be $50 a month, $100 a month? Where's kind of
it depends on what, how many students, but if you're starting out, like I say, we provide hosting as part of our support packages, but you should be looking to start off with hosting around the $30 to $40 mark per month.
Okay.
With our hosting, it's our DIY product, where we offer also all the software that you would need to build a course with, and we give that as part of our hosting package. But yeah, and the reason why is if you just got a marketing website, a lot of those pages can be cached. And what caching is, it's a form of storing the image, the layout of the page. So when you go back once and you go back again, it doesn't have to be all resent to your browser. And that saves a lot of usage of the server that's hosting it. Now, when it comes to a e-learning course, it's more like an online application. So a lot of the pages that people, when they log in to the course, they can't be cached. So an e-learning course takes up a lot more resources of servers. So your normal $3 to $9 a month account just can't cope with it for.
Got it.
You'll start losing content, you'll miss emails, all sorts of strange glitches will show itself. I'm not kidding you. I've had this conversation so many times with people saying, well, it must be WordPress. No, it's not WordPress. It's basically you've got a substandard hosting package.
Okay. Well, good to know. I had no reference, and as a non-tech guy, I'm like, 40 versus, I don't care if it's 15 or if it's 40 or if it's, literally 100 at this point in my business, but I didn't really know that there was a difference between the two. I guess that should be logical, but I just, never really knew where that.
Now, when you got multiple people logging into your system and they're looking at different content, as they go through a course, that's a lot bigger strain than multiple people hitting just one page and it's all in their cache. It's a totally different animal for.
Okay. All right, terrific. So let me ask you this. Someone is thinking about putting together an e-learning course, already has the content created. They come to you. You've seen a lot of entrepreneurial mistakes that people go through, and they do. And you know, mistakes are a great teacher. However, part of this podcast is to teach you the things that I've done poorly and tell you not to do those things. And I've got a whole list of them. This is just one of them. What are some of the things that you recommend, warning things for clients that, hey, as you're thinking about putting this together, here's some do not do, or here's a kind of a do list?
Well, number one is don't develop the content straight off. Now, people think the content and the technology that's going to host the content are the big questions, but there's a much bigger question before you do 50 sessions or build that first fantastic course. It's a bit like the foundations of a house. You know, if the foundations of a house you're going to buy were rubbish, you know, the house on top can look lovely, but it ain't going to last very long.
Yeah.
There's going to be cracks appearing all over the place and you can plaster over the cracks, but they just get worse and worse until you can't plaster over them. Well, it's the same. It's so cool. And what I mean is, you got to find, is there a real need? Are you solving real problems for your target audience?
Yeah.
You know, is there a need? Does your audience agree with you that the things that you're solving in the course they're interested in?
Yeah.
It's very linked to the same psychology of the SaaS world of software as a service. You know, you got to really find the pain points of your audience, and you can have all the experience of a particular industry or of a particular sector as you like, but it doesn't mean that you're still making educated guesses, and that might pan out or that might not pan out. Yep. So you want to reduce the guesswork. But one of the great things is with all the different groups on Facebook and forums and Twitter feeds, and it's really quite easy to find out in a particular niche what are the real problems people are having and write them down and make sure you've got the solutions in your course. But you'll be amazed at the people that don't want to do that kind of bread and butter work before they actually start developing the course really for.
Are you saying that entrepreneurs are highly optimistic and run down a path before doing any sort of research?
Well, we've all done it, but I'm no different. You know, I've done it myself, but I've learned that, and I'm still pulling the financial arrows out my back. You know, I've learned the hard way that you really don't want to do that unless you're a born optimist. You know, doing a little bit, you know, God did put you on the planet with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yeah. And I think he put you on for that. You know, there's a reason why you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should be listening a lot more than you should be speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really easy to create $1 million business. Just start with a $10 million business. Don't do any market research and just believe all of everything that comes out of your mouth. You'll
exactly.
Go ahead.
You know, but doing that kind of market, you know, it doesn't have to be that complicated. And then really, you know, and then it's quite easy to do a pre-launch offer and then publicize it. You know, if you've got a following, if you have built a small tribe, online tribe, you know, do an initial offering saying, you know, we're in the process of building this course. If you sign up and give us some money, you're going to get a certain discount, just to see, because then you might be solving people's problems, but there's always a difference between saying, oh yes, I'll sign up, and then them having to actually get their credit card out.
Yeah. Yep. Interested versus committed.
Exactly.
We ask clients all the time, that's great. Are you interested in that? Great. Are you committed? There's a difference.
Some say yes and some say no.
That's right. Some are committed because you got to do something. All right. So what are some of the, besides the market research, some run and create things on a SaaS platform only to realize that, they can't do what they need that to do. They come over and do it on WordPress. What are some of the mistakes or some of the mistakes that they could avoid in the beginning if they just had the knowledge that you have?
Well, you've got to be really, really realistic. Don't get, for the right type of customer, a SaaS solution is totally fine. There's SaaS solutions that only deal with the actual organization of content. And then there's some SaaS platforms that's like Swiss Army knives. Not only do they place the course in a logical and provide tools, they provide all the marketing tools as well. The problem is it's a Swiss Army knife. You're not getting the best of breed, really. Now, the other factor with the less Swiss Army knife type of SaaS offering is that you got to really understand what you're looking for. If it's only going to be a very small part of your business, it's never going to be something you're going to invest a lot of time and money in. It's just going to be an additional offering, and it's going to be at a certain level. I think probably going to one of these limited SaaS offerings is probably the right route. Now, if you got plans to build it out, and for it maybe at some stage to become a substantial part of your business, you're going to quite rapidly get frustrated with the restraints that you're going to be facing with a SaaS system, which you won't face with WordPress. And WordPress has got the great benefit of having some great e-learning solutions, LearnDash, Lifter LMS, and some great page builders as well. So over the past 18 months, it's really regenerated itself. And now at the present moment, it's running 34% of all websites on the internet. So why wouldn't you look at WordPress?
Yeah. And probably one of the originals, correct?
Of the CRM? Yeah, it's been, I've been involved in WordPress for about 12 years now. I got in on one of the early versions and seen it and the community really expand. But I think in the next couple of years, it's probably possible for it to reach slightly below 50% of all websites running on WordPress that are running on the internet.
Wow. What else do they run on if it's not WordPress?
Well, you've got SaaS systems. Every industry has SaaS competitors. Yeah. In the open source, you've got Drupal and Joomla and some other systems. But compared to WordPress, they're at best 0.5%, 0.25% of all websites. WordPress really dominates the internet at the present moment.
So let's do a little case study here. What are some WordPress e-learning programs you've either worked on or know of and have some background knowledge in? Pick one that's successful. What did they do that's successful? What lane are they in? What niche are they in? What sort of price point are they in? And what's made them successful?
Well, I think, I did a major project this year, which was about 5 or 6. It was for a very large church that offered a lot of online education, and they were initially set up on one of these SaaS systems, and they for various technical reasons, which we've already discussed to some extent, they just were very restricted, and it became this church has got over 10,000 members, so it was getting financially quite restrictive. So that we had to migrate all the present websites into WordPress, and also they had multiple websites offering different courses, and they just wanted one login system to cover all the websites that were offering courses, and we had to build that. So that was like a 6-month project, and we charge a considerable amount of money, but they've been delighted, and actually it's on my website as my main case study.
Okay.
So you can go to the WP Tonic, to the top navigation, it's got their case study, and you can read about this, what we did for this particular client, because I was extremely happy with the outcome for the client, and so was the client.
Good. Excellent. So just head over to wp-tonic.com. Excellent. Let me ask you this. You know, in the e-learning area, the selling and the marketing is one, but as an industry, very often, I haven't seen any hard facts around this, but it's estimated that only 10% of the people that purchase online programs actually finish the online programs. Of the 10% that actually finish it, even a smaller percentage that actually go on and implement it and do what is necessary. What are you telling your clients? Is there any strategies or tools or tactics that they can use in order to, one, get their clients to do the entire program, and then anything on the follow through, if you have any advice on that?
Well, I think one of the areas you've got to be aware of, and the figures you just given me are correct, is really look at e-commerce and, like I said before, the SaaS industry in general. Now, look at your onboarding process. Also look after, with the modern marketing automatizations, you can sense that somebody stopped at a certain stage during the course. Then you can send them a series of email, offering a one-to-one coaching or one-to-one quick Zoom call. Is there a particular problem that you're having at this stage of the course? I'm here to help. Would you like a quick 15-minute Zoom?
Good.
You can automate all that. We work with a WordPress plugin that's a direct competitor to Infusionsoft and ActiveCampaign. It's called Groundhog, and we're a preferred partner with this plugin, but it does everything, but it's much more simpler to use. And we can build out these automatizations, but that's the type of thing that you've got to be thinking about. You will get students that will hit a barrier, or, are you sending out anything when they stop that encourages them to come back on board?
Yeah. Very, very good. Is there any sort of statistics around kind of the optimal length of time for the teaching? One of the things that I do in all of my, I'm hired to do what's called keynotes talks. And I said, look, I really don't do keynote talks, but what I will do is I'll come in and talk for an hour, 90 minutes, or whatever you need. But during this is going to be an active workshop, because if I'm just talking for 90 minutes, at some point, the eyes are going to glaze over and they've checked out. But if I'm constantly asking questions and having them do exercises throughout those 90 minutes, it keeps people engaged. I'm also walking around the room asking questions, and the quiet ones usually are the ones that get picked. So online, you can't do that, obviously, or I don't think you can. Is there so length of time, has any studies shown, or do you suggest to your clients, hey, keep these things within 30 minutes or 45 or an hour, whatever it is, and any other tactics along the way in order to keep the students engaged?
Well, I think you've got to be aware that, educational science has proven that in the 40 minutes, almost 2/3 of what you say is completely forgotten straight away.
Wow.
Now, the bulk, 1 hour lecture, educational presentation, 2/3 of the information is forgotten almost instantaneously. That's just been scientifically proven. So keep your videos below 10 minutes if you can. If you've got a very large, if it's not possible, keep it as minimum as possible, and really, understand your audience isn't going to retain. That's why you need quizzes, other materials to enforce a video. But try and keep the videos as short as possible, and really try and work out what are the 1 or 2 key things that you want them to learn from that video. Preferably only 1 key thing per video, and reinforce through the quiz that they actually did.
Yeah, they got that one.
You're trying is to break it up as much as possible and reinforce that they have actually learnt the concept through quizzes and other interactive activities, which can be group-based, forum-based, having Zooms, group Zooms, whatever way you want to take it. But, it's not to mislead oneself. That is what the science has proven, is if you break it down and only cover 1 key concept per lesson, per session, and then do reinforcement that the students, when they're going through, are keeping up, is the best industry practice.
That's great. All right, so 10 minutes, 1 point, reiterate that point throughout, have a quiz to reiterate that point. One thing, I love it. And one thing that you didn't mention, that's one of my favorite, don't be boring, be entertaining, be enthusiastic.
We've all gone through PowerPoint of death, haven't we? Where PowerPoints should be only there to support the person presenting with some visual materials that's best presented visually. But it's not an excuse for somebody just waffling on for half an hour more than it should have been,
and then just reading it.
I normally have only 1 sentence on each PowerPoint, and then I have an image behind it, and that's just there to emphasize the key point that I was making in each section of my talk. I tend not to use it and bombard, trying to get people to listen to you, plus you're giving them enormous amounts of information visually on a PowerPoint. It's just a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you're a lot smarter than I am, because I use that 1 picture actually not to, reiterate a point. It's to remind me where the hell I am and that I'm actually supposed to be telling this particular story. But funny story, I just did a keynote for a doctor's group, and one of them, it was the people that run these doctors' offices. And one of the PowerPoint slides was take out your camera and take a selfie. And I had forgotten to put in kind of the closure to that open loop. Later in the presentation, someone came up to me and said, what was the picture for? And then later, my next presentation, I actually included that in there. And I said, the selfie picture is whenever you get to the point and you're questioning your organization, you don't know why things are working. First, before you start figuring out, systems, process, procedures, or people, take a look at the selfie. Because chances are you're the one, you're the reason. And they thought they found that entertaining and probably a little abusive. Which if I could alienate some people during my talks and agitate others, I've had a successful day. But I really that's great. 10 minutes, 1 point, reiterate it. I love that. Jonathan, we could keep going on and on all day, but look. If you're an entrepreneur out there, content is king. Creating an online course not only creates a revenue stream for you, but it also keeps that content out there. You do it once, you can sell it multiple times. Keep those videos short. And if you're going to do this, do not, under any circumstances, try to do this stuff on your own. I'm telling you, it will be a disaster. Your team will not be the same team that you have had then as I do, today, which is, as a matter of fact, he's coming back to do some filming for me, and we were laughing about this because in the very beginning, I'm like, guys, you just need to figure out how to do this stuff. And they're like, we're not WordPress programmers. I'm like, I don't care. Just Google this stuff, figure it out, And they're like, we'll try. They tried. They actually did a pretty decent job, but they were ready to kill me. So give Jonathan and his team a call. And Jonathan, I really appreciate you coming on, and you can find out all his contact information in the show notes.
Oh, thanks, Thor. It's been a pleasure discussing this topic with you and your audience.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks.